Are you ready? Good afternoon, everyone. Wolf here. I thought I would just make a random video today for something to do and kind of randomly tell you what I hope to do in the next several days. I probably have done that already. But first, I'm going to show you the kitty here. This is Silvermoon. I don't know if I can hold him up there. This is our youngest cat. He's about 10 years old as of August. We got him from a breeder in just outside of Winnipeg, Canada, or Manitoba, Canada. And they said that he was a snow kitten, which was like part Himalayan and Siamese. And of course, we had no paperwork on him, other than a receipt that he was like $500 or something. But you know, money isn't everything, right? But anyway, I have Silvermoon in here today. Usually, he and his comrades, Blizzard Storm Wind, which is our oldest cat, our black cat, is 20 years old this time. And then we have Squeaky Murloc, which was a cat left from a tenant back in 2018. He's an orange tabby. I think he's about 8. Anyway, they all three house themselves out in the porch area. We try to keep them away from the dogs and stuff. Anyway, this little one just came back from the vet. Found out yesterday that one of his front tooth, one of the long ones, basically crossed over and was almost pulled out. So we're not sure if it is a, something from a gum disease or something wrong with there. The vet didn't see a whole lot for that today. It might have been when the dog was chasing him the other day, and then of course he leaped up and over the double door back into the outer room. Either way, I had to take him into the vet, and so they basically just pulled the tooth out with no issues. So he has kind of a hole there, if you will, that he'll have to go back in a few days and get checked. He might have to have it stitched up, and we're going to have him have the vet look at the rest of his gum and his teeth, and we'll go from there. But he was given antibiotics and something supposed to like almost put him out. Obviously, you can see that hasn't happened. And then, of course, some follow-up meds for the next several days. So, anyway, Silvermoon's getting a little anxious here, so I'm going to put him back down. Hopefully, I have some soft food for him. And, of course, hair. But that is our kitty. Okay, let me see. What was I going to do? I'm going to put the camera a little bit over here. I'm going to show you what we have plans here as soon as I record. Okay. Over on this back wall, and everything you can see there, it's all paneling. And I'm not going to be able to hold this up very long because it's kind of long. But hopefully in a few days, I can get it open here without getting hair on it. There we go. We're going to put up a green screen. Now, I have not used one of these since I was in my original TV production class in 1972. Awful. And of course, we know technology's changed, right? Now, of course, the premise of these and everything is that when you get these mounted and you get the lighting just right, and we're going to make a video on that, I hope, then you can, pardon me for scratching, you can put an image that will show up behind you. For example, if you're familiar with a lot of older movies stuff, you'll see like some people will say driving down the road. What's a good series? Adam 12. So police drama. I think it was the 80s. You know what? I don't really quite recall. But that particular show, there was a shell of a car that looked like a police car. And we had our stars. I can't remember their name, but it doesn't matter. They rode in the front seat and they were doing their thing, answering the radio and stuff on their way to, a perceived call. But in the background, you could see the road behind them, maybe traffic, scenery. But that was all done with a green screen, very much like what's here and stuff. So anyway, I'm just going to hold this up real quick. Again, I will be attaching it soon. But it is going to go all the way across this wall. And not the best presentation there, for example. But I do have a rod to put it up, and then we'll get it kind of tight. I'm not very good at folding, so pardon me for that. I'm going to step over my cat here, over Silvermoon. Oh my goodness. Try to get over here for one of the other projects that we want to work on. I am going to bring the camera over here though, show you the frustration I have in the moment. Let's see, where are we at? Of course, as you know, I have this toy here, this steel guitar that someday I want to learn how to play. But the frustration I'm having is there's a little device here. Let's see if I can turn it on here. If we can see it there, let's see. Where are we at? There we go. There's a little device here. And this is supposed to be an electronic tuner, so that when I strum the strings, depending on what key we want to tune this, and I'm using something called Open C6, and by the life of me I won't be able to explain that right now because I am in the process of still learning where the keys are on the piano. I've got to see if I can tune my ear to that. And of course I've got another one very similar to that. Has the keys on the piano, and then where the keys are, or where the same notes are on the strings and the frets and all that stuff. Total amateur, but that's okay. Anyway, my frustration, trying to turn this thing off here. There we go. My frustration is I attempt to tune one of the strings, like the number 1 or number 6, whatever. And I believe, for example, it's the C3, I think is what I'm after there, and stuff. And according to this chart, let me see here. Yes, C3, and yet I can get supposedly the key tone or melody, or not melody, whatever, sound, a little bit below, a little bit above. But can I get the C note on that thing tuned? Not even. At least not with that little gizmo. So maybe I'm not using it right, even though I read the instructions. I am going to go out. As many of you know, Star does have a new electronic piano in the living room. So one day I'm going to go out and take my toy behind me there and see if I can listen to the keys on it and see if I can get this thing tuned. I've also downloaded some tuning apps, guitar apps on the phone here. So I'm going to also try those and see if I can at least get the thing in tune, and then maybe I can learn more about it. So it's going to be a long process before I even get to a point where I can play something, I think. But you know what? That's the fun of going back in time and playing with something that once had a dream for many years. Okay, what else? What else do I have here? What have I talked about? Can't remember. Anyway, okay, so I will get into what I have sitting here that I may do in this video. I may continue it here, but I have this fascination with like mechanical things that work, and so I have got a bunch of these 3D puzzles. They're wooden puzzles, and supposedly what will happen is once they're all put together, they will run. Maybe it takes a battery, or maybe you have to wind it up. And so I want to build these with you one day, and I'm going to show them to you now. And then if you would like, or if you would please, leave me a comment as to which one should we try first. The big one, because it looks pretty detailed, or maybe the smaller one that might be easier. It could be reversed, right? So this, I can't see if there's a name on it. It's basically, let's see if we can get a picture over here. Let's see where we're at here. This is basically a marble machine, if you will, that when it's put together, it's supposed to move the marbles or the in and around and back up, and just like a endless circle. So we have that one, and I'm just going to go with this next size up. I don't know if there's I don't think there's a picture of this one. Well, yeah, kind of. But it's not a very good picture. I probably should have pulled these up and showed you more. Maybe we can do that later. But again, the box is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to try to get it in here and show you. Hopefully I've got that so you can kind of see an idea of what that one might be. Looks very similar to the bigger one. This one's a little bit easier. This one's very heavy, even heavier than it seemed with that one. And it almost, you know what? It looks almost the same as that first one that I showed you. But again, this is a 3D, it's called a Marble Run Mini 3D Puzzle. And so I will get that one up close to you, and let's see, we'll get over there. And you can see that has a very nice picture of what it should look like when it's built. So that's number 3. And let's see, this one I think I did open. Oh, that's not even a puzzle. Okay. This, well, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, then the last item, this is not a marble machine, but it's something that I love, as probably most boys and men do. There might be some girls and women out there that as well. I absolutely love trains. And I have had several model train layouts in my day. My last one, of course, many years ago. I believe it was in the early 90s when we finally had to move back to California. We lived in Portland, Oregon for a while, for 2 or 3 years. And then we moved to Hood River, Oregon, which is right on the Columbia River and the Columbia Gorge. It's an absolutely beautiful area. And at that time, I worked for what was called Sherry's, S-H-A-R-I, Sherry's Restaurants. It's very similar to a Denny's. And I did just about everything there, except when I applied for an assistant manager position after working there for about 4.5 years. I felt I was ready. I was a trainer in the local store, local restaurant, and I was also a restaurant trainer for when we opened new facilities. And like I said, I was sure that I was ready. However, when I had my interview with the district manager, he's seated across from me in a booth, and I'm seated, with my resume, and I'm prepared, all dunkled up in shirt and tie and everything, and I was sure it was a shoe-in, if you will. And many years ago, so I'll be nice. I won't call him what I did call him afterwards. And that was, of course, after I was turned down. And I actually gave my 2-week notice after that. But he basically asked me, what are we here for, Fred? And I was like blown away by that statement. Now, maybe it was an open question to test me, but I answered it with, I'm here to apply for the assistant manager position that is open. And then, well, why do you think we should consider you? Okay, I answered that. As I said, restaurant trainer, and I got a recommendation by this current manager that's at this location. I have a recommendation by my previous 2 managers, which was the restaurant that the same name that I worked at in outside of Portland, in a town actually called Hillsboro. And that's why I thought it was a shoe-in. That with all these recommendations and all this positions that I took tests on and qualified for, and of course they demonstrated. I even taught new assistant managers at the corporate office. And yet, this dude looked at me and says, "Thank you very much, but I don't think you're qualified." Yeah, that's about the same look I gave back then. I wanted to cry, which I may have. I was really disappointed. I really wanted that position. But anyway, okay, so sorry about my randomling. What? Need that fixed. Back to what I was doing here. You'll find that I do I get off on topic. Anyway, back to trains. Okay, that was the last time when the reference to Hood River, Oregon. I had a huge layout in the basement. It was about 45 by 50. It was both an HO scale layout. You can look that up if you like, and also an N scale. That was with smaller mining things. And of course, I mapped the Columbia Gorge and surrounding areas. I even had my own railroad club, which is sponsored by the Union Pacific Railroad, a local dispatch office, not too far from Hood River. Pretty good days, pretty good days. Anyway, so case in point, the last puzzle here that I will finally get back to. This is a 3D wood train, locomotive, and coal car in the back. Maybe it's an oil car. So again, you can let me know if we should build that first. Anything else? Anything else? You know what? I might have had other things here. Can't think of things right off. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video for now. I got some breakfast here I want to get to, and I don't want to eat in front of you and everything. Even though there's some, these are fantastic leftover fettuccine Alfredo noodles sauce. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.